key. All right, so what I would like you to do is just give a quick little, where people can find you, a little about me kind of thing, if you want to go ahead and just start us out with that.
I am very awkward at this, so just I'll get it out the best I can. My name is Jambo. I am a variety streamer on Twitch with a focus on RPGs and just chatting. I am also so bad. I'm so bad at this. I'm also on Twitter. I do stuff on social media at Play with Jambo on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. I just recently started doing stuff on TikTok, and man, diversifying content is hard, but boy, is it fun. I'm a big advocate of mental health and being open and transparent about who you are. I feel like it leads to better connections, better content, and just being better for yourself. And so that's why I'm here.
Absolutely. And so again,
sorry.
No, don't apologize. Please stop. Are you kidding me? Do you know who I am? Do you know? Anyways, no. So again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining and, talking about. Here's the thing. There is such a surface level thing when it comes to streaming and just like a streamer's life in general. And I think that everyone has a misunderstanding, or there's a lot of like misconceptions. Is that a word? That doesn't sound like a word.
Misconception?
I think it's a word. I think that there's a lot of those. And people think that, oh, streaming must be so easy and this must be so easy. No, it's not at all. There's a lot that comes into play. So I really wanted to talk about this. So I think to start it off, see, I told you, animals. To start it off, I think the first question I want to ask you is, what would you say is the biggest struggle you face with your mental health? And you can kind of relate it to IRL. You can relate it to streaming. You can do both. You can do whatever you're comfortable with.
I think the biggest thing that I've struggled with this past year has definitely been depression and anxiety. They've both been, double teaming this year. And it's been very hard to find motivation, to find happiness with myself, to see my own success, to truly give the energy and attention to content creation and really like anything in my life, because it's been a nonstop battle. For those who don't know, to kind of give a little background as to why this year was especially tough on top of the pandemic and everything else. In June, we experienced hate raids and attacks that lasted for a month and a half. We banned thousands of people. I was doxxed. They threatened to swat me. It became a huge real life problem that lasted for way too long, and is what spiraled me into the worst depression of my life and landed me in therapy, which I'm very thankful for. I was trying to find a therapist for like 3 months, and I just wasn't putting in the effort I needed to till then. And that was when I kind of really dug deep with somebody else and found the root of my depression and anxiety. And I've been working on that ever since, but it has made this past 6-7 months impossible to do anything. I have felt like a failure. I have struggled to push and motivate myself to do what I love to do my job the way that I need to, while also taking care of myself. And that's been my biggest struggle, is finding the balance between all of that, with the depression, anxiety looming over me.
Absolutely. And, I'm glad that you mentioned, pandemic and everything like that, because that was I think everybody had to learn a new way to manage and cope through that. I mean, I've never been through a pandemic, so put that on top of, what you experienced with the hate raids and everything like that. And then just the stresses with streaming in general, I mean, a human can only handle so much.
Exactly. And with the pandemic, not having that that socialization that we usually have. I can't imagine I'm the only person in streaming who feels this way, but I haven't really talked with anybody about it. This feels like a good time. I feel like many of us used streaming as a form of coping through the pandemic. However, for a lot of us, it's also a job or feels like one. So when you're at your computer to stream and you're using that as like your portal to communication with the outside world, it becomes so hard to spend time at your computer not working, not talking to anyone, not doing something that is related to streaming or back-end work or emails or DMs or whatever it is. And it's become very hard for me to separate that time at my computer now. Because my only connection to the outside world is this computer. These monitors. This is how I talk to people. This is now how I socialize. And it's very hard for me. That's been a big struggle for me too. I've been very depressed. I don't get to see my friends. I don't get to see family. We lost 2 family members at the beginning of December, and I couldn't go to the memorial. It's just been like this nonstop slew of I don't know. It just like never ends.
And you know, I do kind of want to touch on this too, because this just adds a whole other element, and it's again, you know, kind of getting below that surface level is you also have a chronic illness.
I do.
And you know, that in itself already comes with symptoms, issues, hardships that you face, you know, day in and day out.
And it's also fear. I have an autoimmune disease that if I got COVID, there is a good chance that I would be hospitalized, if not worse.
Of course. So
I'm afraid of everything around me, which is also a new feeling. I've never had that before. I've never had that. Like, I'm afraid to go outside. I'm afraid to go to someone's house. I'm afraid to go to the store. I'm afraid to go anywhere. So I stay home. I've driven somewhere maybe 5 times in the last year. And I can't do anything else. And that's another thing that's added to this too, is, you know, being a streamer has quite literally saved my life this year. I don't know how I would have made it through without that outlet, without that open communication with other people who are dealing with the same thing. And while there are other ways I could have gotten it, being able to do this, to make a living this last year, I have supported our entire household on this income for a year. And it's hard to even talk about how magnificent and humbling that is in itself.
Absolutely.
Saved my life. This community saved my life.
And that's why, you know, in the beginning, you know, I wanted to give a huge shout out, because there's so much more than what people realize, you know. And you know, I also have an autoimmune disease. You know, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, you know, and that's why I love doing MotivASHonal, because it's an eye-opener for me. I get to learn more about you, and hopefully you get to learn more about me, and our communities get to kind of see like our vulnerabilities. You know. So I appreciate you that, you know, like sharing that with us. And, you know, like I said, you know, here's this. Are you okay, sir? Are you okay? Did you figure it out? He got stuck in the crack between my wall and my desk. I might keep that in the YouTube video. That was the funniest thing I have ever seen.
Please just add bloopers to the end of your YouTube video.
I'm gonna have to. He literally got stuck in between the wall and like my desk, and was just sitting there looking at me like, "Mom, please," while also spilling my water that I'm going to move over here. Anyways, we're here. Are you okay? I'm checking on you. Okay. Anyways, so, you know, this is a great chance to just kind of be vulnerable for a second and just talk about these things, you know, because I don't think enough people kind of understand, you know, what's going on. And I love, like I said, I love that you mentioned the pandemic, because that is a whole other element that we all had to learn how to deal with. And then, you already have, you know, anxieties and depression and stuff like that you're already dealing with. Add on a pandemic, I mean, it's like times 20, you know what I mean? So no, I really appreciate that. And you kind of already went into this a little bit, or you started to anyway. So what are some things that your mental health and like the stresses and stuff like stop you from doing? Because I know sometimes when I get like super depressed, like, this might sound disgusting, but I'm totally open to share it, like showering, washing my face, you know, brushing my teeth, simple hygiene things, cleaning my room, you know, so things like that.
It's like you have anxiety because these things aren't getting done, but your depression stops you from getting them done.
Vicious cycle.
Yep. So then you're just stuck in this endless cycle of, I'm too depressed to clean this, but I'm too anxious to clean it, which makes me depressed, which makes me anxious, which makes me depressed, which makes me anxious. And it's like a nonstop cycle. And I just didn't have the energy to do fuck all for so long. And that's why, like, I just posted that video of our room because,
oh my gosh, that was wonderful.
It was such a mess for months because it was just a depression den. It was I sleep here, but then I couldn't sleep because the room was a mess and I kept wanting to clean it, but I didn't have the means. I didn't have the money to get anything. I didn't
have the energy.
And nothing. So I just, it just stayed that way until a very generous mod of mine allowed us to get what we needed to make it better. And we did.
That's wonderful.
And I cannot express enough how much that's already changed my life in one day. Having that space. I slept through the night last night with no problem for the first time in I don't know how long. And I woke up in a clean, warm environment that I wanted to be in. And it changed everything.
People don't realize how you just get so lost in it. You know, you really feel like this is it. This mess and everything that is surrounding me, this is it. There's no way out of this. You really do feel like you're in the pit.
I do. And it's the same thing when you take it to streaming, because there were so many days that I canceled stream because all I could do was cry that day. I was crying, I was sad, I couldn't get off the couch. I just felt like I couldn't feel happy. And that was all I kept saying. Oh, I'm not gonna cry. I just kept saying, like, I want to be happy. That's it.
Now, I have a question that kind of goes outside of what the questions that I sent you, essentially. Now, you've talked about this a little bit openly. Obviously, I'm not going to pry, but you have talked about that. You're in therapy. And you have slowly been uncovering where that initial feeling of depression and anxiety comes from, correct? Good. Because what people don't realize is sometimes it's just wired in us, right? You know, whether it's, you know, your family members have it, or, you know, you went through a traumatic experience, an abusive experience, and then that's how your brain just a click went off in your brain, and like you just learned to cope and deal with things differently. And you know, it's people don't understand that either, you know. And so I do want to mention here at this point, you know, that therapy is so important, especially cognitive behavioral therapy, because you're literally getting to rewire all of the connections in your brain to help you not feel that way anymore. You know?
And I will forever say, every single human being in the world can benefit from therapy. Doesn't matter if you're sad or happy, it doesn't matter. Any human being alive in this world can benefit from therapy.
You know, I'm really glad that you said that, because one of my goals this year was to also get myself into therapy, because there's some trauma and abuse that I haven't dealt with that I feel like is starting to affect my friendships and or just the way that I feel about myself, and waking up and just like hating myself all the time is just not fun. So I literally sat here the other day and I was like, I'm okay. I don't need it. And it's like, it would be good to just go anyways, you know, and just have someone to talk to. First of all, the person that you're sitting with, the person that you're having a conversation with, they don't know you. They don't have any, they don't know where you came from. They don't know your childhood. They don't know any of those things. So you're talking to someone who doesn't know you and they can't judge you. You know, there's no prejudgments.
My therapist is someone I've known since I was 4 years old.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, that works out then.
It works out for me. Yeah. I didn't think that I would like that. I was really like apprehensive going into it because this person has known me since I moved to Chicago.
Yeah.
And they knew, but you know what? It ended up being so helpful because this person knew when my dad almost died when I was 5.
Yeah.
And she was there with the hospital and the transfusions and all of that. She was a part of that. So she knew going into it where a lot of this started for me.
A lot of the trauma started.
Through my parents' divorce, through my dad's remarriage, through all of these things. Like she was there. She knew so much of it already. And I mean, what helped a lot was something I was unexpected was she could give me part of my mom's perspective through all of that I didn't get to have when I was younger because she heard all of it.
Yeah.
So I got to hear those things and learn them and kind of see that, you know, where I get some of my thought processes or kind of where I come from on a level that I wouldn't have otherwise known. And it was a really unexpected positive from therapy.
So like full disclosure, like go to therapy, friends. I mean, you know, like it like Jamie said, even if you're happy, you know, and like I said, I literally the other day was like, I'm fine. I don't need it. And I'm like, no, like you have a chronic illness. Like that's already hard to deal with in itself. You already have issues with like thinking you're enough for anyone. Like that, you know, that's okay to talk about those things, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So I just, you know
what?
Go ahead.
Even if you're happy, even if you don't have depression or anxiety, it's hard for me to believe there are people that don't.
Right.
But even if you don't, go to therapy to just fucking brag about how great your life is. You're literally paying somebody to let you talk about anything you want. Everything about you doesn't matter. You want to just go in and talk about your dog for an hour once a week? Go. It's like gives you a free outlet to discuss anything you need to. Not free, you pay for it, but like you know what I mean. An outlet to discuss anything that you need to, whether it's good or bad. There's such a stupid stigma on therapy that something is wrong with you if you go. And that's not true. It takes more strength to go to therapy than it does to say, I don't need therapy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't believe that anyone doesn't need therapy. I think everyone could benefit from therapy. 100%. Every single person.
100%. And I think, you know, I want to ask you here too. I think this would be a good chance to maybe kind of throw it in. Mm-hmm. What were some of the steps that you went through to find your therapist? I mean, obviously you've known the circumstances are a little different, but what would you say, you know, did you go on Google? I
did.
Did you call your insurance company? Okay.
I went through I called 4 different people before I landed on my therapist now. And I spoke with them a little bit. I kind of asked some questions about, I asked questions about depression and anxiety over the phone. I was like, I want to make sure this is going to be a good fit. I want to discuss, I don't know. It was only like 15-minute phone calls at most. But it was just like, it was just a small, like little questions that pertain to me that would kind of give me an idea of who I was speaking with.
Yeah.
And just I didn't really vibe with anyone.
Yeah. You feel the vibes immediately. I mean, just like how they respond, you know, you just know. And I think I also want to disclose here at this moment too is you might not find your therapist for a little while, and that's okay. Like, don't give up, you know? And
don't just give in because you found someone, because there are a lot of people who say, well, I tried therapy and it didn't work for me. And I was one of those people. But I was too young to know the difference. I didn't have the choices I do now as an adult where I could find my own. But it's very important to know you're never stuck with a therapist. You can move on to somebody else at any time. it's so important to know that they are people just like you.
Yeah.
You do not have to settle with them. If it's kind of like how I guess you could equate it to streaming, right? You find a streamer that you like and you're sub to them for a while, and then you realize that you're no longer vibing in that community. Are you going to continue subbing to them, or are you going to move on and find another streamer that you enjoy?
Yeah.
To simplify it down, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
If you are no longer gaining something from that therapist, you move on, you can find another one. There are thousands of therapists, I guarantee you, within 30 minutes of where you live that could help you out.
Absolutely.
And it's just important to remember you're not stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, despite these things that we are talking about, you know, our mental health and our struggles and our stresses, like, I think it's important to know that, like, yes, in this moment you may feel these things, but like, it's going to be okay. And you do have a way out. And I know that so many times when I've been stuck in that pit that we've been talking about, you don't feel like there's a way out. You feel like you're stuck, you know?
Yep.
So I do, for anyone who's listening, I do want you to know that you're not stuck and that you are going to be okay. And you're gonna get out of this, and you're gonna make it. You know, I think sometimes people just need to hear that you're gonna be okay, you know? So kind of going back, doing full circle. So you were saying that, you know, for IRL, you know, your mental health kind of stops you from just basically taking care of yourself. And for streaming, you say that it keeps you from streaming, like, altogether. Like, you'll cancel streams and everything like that. How have you coped with that? Because I know for me, every time I'm really trying to work on it, and I've actually been getting better at it, but like, when I have to cancel because like I'm in pain or I'm having a bad flare up or something, like, I feel like shit about myself. I'm like, I'm the worst. I'm never gonna be anything. This, you know, this and that, blah, 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 blah. But now I've really learned to say, you know, you just need a rest today. Today's just a rest day. You can stream another day. There will always be another day to stream. Like, how do you cope with, or how did you cope? Because I know dealing with the hate raids is one thing. You're scared to stream. You're sick of all of the bullshit going on. But, you know, when it comes to your mental health, how do you cope with those days where you can't turn on the camera and you can't do it?
I used to beat myself up about it, because as a full-time streamer, it's hard. It's hard already. But when it's your job, it's like it's the worst, because it's not like you're just canceling stream. It feels like I always felt like I was letting down Anthony. Because if it was a day that I wasn't streaming and there was no chance of, I don't know, anything, of growth, of traction, of income that day, should any come, and it hurt a lot. And then I reached a point, it's gonna sound weird, but there was a moment where I was almost thankful for my depression, because it kicked me in the ass. And I hit this super low point at the beginning of December, where for like 5 days, I think, I didn't stream. I couldn't. I was crying. I was sad. I was whatever. But I kind of hit this point where I didn't care. I was like, I don't care. I can't care about streaming right now. I have to take care of me. And somewhere within there, it sparked something. And it was the moment where I realized therapy was working. And I found myself saying, I need to get out of this. I need to stop. I need to take a look around me. I need to realize that I have a good life. I have a person who loves me. I have 2 wonderful dogs who love me. I have a family who loves me. And it was, I have a successful career. I have a community who's there for me. And when I came back to streaming after that, it was like nothing had changed. And that was the moment where I realized it doesn't matter. If I am not in the state to stream, if I stream, it will show, and it will destroy me. So I kicked myself in the ass. I took the steps that I wanted to take to be able to better my home, to be able to take the steps to start the bedroom, to take steps to clean the office, to take steps to make my life better. And that was what I vowed to do at the beginning of 2021. And that's what I have done. I don't feel bad canceling stream anymore. If I have to cancel stream, I have to cancel stream, and that's just how it has to be. Because if I don't take care of me, there's no content. And then that's how I lose my career. That's how I lose my passion. It's not by canceling a stream. It's by pursuing streams when I know I'm not mentally able to attain the energy to do them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like that low point. And I feel like sometimes we've got to get there. I feel like sometimes the low point is where you learn the most. You know, like it was almost like that low point in your life made you reprioritize.
Yes.
And it made you realize, like, if Jamie is not okay, if Jambo is not okay, you can't make content. Your content won't survive anyways because you're not surviving. So, you know, it was almost like I said, rock bottom sometimes helps us grow, you know, in ways that we didn't know. And I feel like that maybe was your moment of, I have to put myself first, you know?
It was a culmination of things between the holidays, losing my stepdad's parents. It was all of these things that just, and again, the pandemic, which I don't even need to say. It all just like stacked on, and that was when I crashed. And it was literally a crash. I just cried for days. I couldn't stop. I couldn't find joy in anything. And that was like, I mean, painful. Like there were days where like Anthony and I didn't even talk to each other because I couldn't like have a conversation. And then there was all this pressure to still stay active on Twitter and stay I literally pushed myself to the point of crashing.
And while the breakdown.
And while it sucks, I do think that it helped me because I was in therapy still during all of that, and I talked about it, and I don't know. I just started caring about myself.
Finally.
Which it's still hard to do. But it's there. At least the groundwork is there.
Exactly.
To put me first.
Exactly. So. And I've always wanted to tell you. I don't know why I haven't. I'll just tell you live on Twitch, I guess. But, you know, just know that because you have sacrificed so much of yourself and have put so much just energy into so many of the things that you have done and so much love, and you've just sacrificed so many pieces of yourself, the community that you've built has got your back. You do not have to worry about that. And I know for a lot of us, you know, we miss a stream and, you know, numbers come into our mind and, you know, content comes into our mind. But if you're constantly from day one setting the tone and making a community that, you know, understands, that's why, like, when I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, I sat down with my community and I said, there's going to be days where I'm going to miss a stream. The end, period, blank, whatever. And if you do not like a content creator that puts themselves and their health first, I don't want you here. I don't want you here because I have to put myself first. Because if I'm not here, there is no stream. If I'm not taking care of myself, there is no stream. And I started building that foundation. And I think 2020 really kind of changed my streaming career and my life because I finally felt like that was the community that had my back. Those were the people that understood that I needed a day off. So pat yourself also on the back because you did that. You built a community that isn't gonna hate you for that. They're gonna be there that next time you hit that live button, you know? And it's just, I've always wanted to say that to you is like, you know, you have put so much effortless love and selflessness out into your community and to the world. How dare it not give it back? It will, Jamie. It will. And you always have to remember that. Like, there are so many people who like love you, adore you, including me. and I would literally fight the ocean for you. I'd punch a wave for you, okay? So, you know, just know that this is such a huge part for you in your story. And it's important that people know that this is a part of your story, you know?
You know, there are, it's funny you say that. So there have been a lot of people who have made a lot of remarks to me since I found success. And there's a lot of those people that say like, oh my God, you have so many subs. Why are you so sad? Or
Jesus Christ,
have so many viewers, like, oh, you have a bad stream or whatever. And or like, but like
Gross.
Last year when I went full time in January, I had somebody come in and say, well, you've only been streaming for 3 months. Is it wise to go full time? So.
Oh, did I ask you? No, thanks though.
First of all, I've been
Appreciate it.
streaming for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Second, it's none of your business.
Yeah.
And I think that there are people who don't take the time to realize truly through and through that streamers are people who have battled so fucking hard to get to where they are. Streaming is not all about who you are on stream.
Yeah.
It is everything else. It is so fucking much. And I have told this story so many times, so I'm very sorry if this is repetitive for anybody who's here. But in 2019, my entire life crumbled away. My relationship ended. I moved into a new home.
Yeah.
I lost my job, and I ended up in the hospital in the ICU, all in a matter of 4.5 months. And I could hardly stream anywhere in that time.
Yeah.
I think I streamed 16 times in 5 months. And it devastated me because I felt everything I had built slip away. I couldn't be consistent. I couldn't stay on social media. I couldn't do anything. I just felt constantly pulled down by everything.
Yeah.
And I almost gave up.
Yeah.
I almost stopped streaming altogether. I was gonna throw in the towel because I didn't think anyone cared about me anymore. I didn't think that it was gonna mean anything to anyone. I felt sick. I felt weak. I felt awful.
Yeah.
The 2-week recovery time, I could hardly walk by myself after the hospital. It was like everything fell apart.
Yeah.
And then I started streaming again in November of 2019. And that was when I chose to be transparent with my community for the first time.
Yeah.
About everything going on in my life, because
It's
all I
tough.
did was hide things.
Yeah.
I hid the breakup and what it actually did to me for his benefit. I hid the stress of my job letting me go because I didn't want anybody to think that I was asking for money from anyone. So I just full-time job hunt for 3 months, didn't talk about it. I gave up and talked about everything. I cried for like an hour. I was open about all of the stress and anxiety that I had felt for the last 2 years. I told them everything.
Yeah.
And that changed my life. And I will forever say, be open and honest about who you are to your community, because that's what matters to them.
Absolutely.
This false positivity, this notion of everything needs to be good all the time because this is a safe space. There is nothing safe about a space that generates toxic positivity and tells people it's not okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
It is
100%.
That month, we went from 74 subs to 3,700 in 3 weeks. It was the month that changed my life. And I am forever grateful that I had the strength to talk about that and not let it beat me down or make me feel weak anymore because of what other people have said.
Yeah. They didn't win. You won.
Yep.
You did that, you know? And that's why I love MotivASHonal. MotivASHonal is my baby. This is my little brainchild. You know, it's a chance for us to uncover some really important things about streaming and who we are as people, because that's what some people don't understand when they see a streamer, is that we're human. And behind this camera, there's nothing. There's no layers to us that are protecting us in any way, shape, or form. It's literally the camera and a chat. You know, we have nothing else protecting us. We are still human. Like, not robots, you know? And like, yes, take Ninja, take Summit, take Tim the Tapman, whatever. I guarantee they don't talk about it, but I guarantee there are stresses in their lives as well that they have to deal with.
Yep.
Don't let these facades fool you, because it's not real and it's not true. And that's why I love MotivASHonal, is being able to talk about these things and let people know, like, if you're going through something, like, you're not alone. Like, yeah, you may be a community member, but like, I'm right here with you. We are both human on the same level. You know what I mean? Like, just because I'm a streamer and I stream doesn't like put me above anybody else, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's why I just really love MotivASHonal and just getting to share these moments with our communities.
You know, you've killed it.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I almost gave up. I really did. And I have a, you know, similar kind of story to yours. I hit this place where I just told myself that I had no choice. I needed to get up and I needed to make it work and I needed to be strong and keep pushing, you know, but in a healthy way, obviously, you know.
Right.
But, you know, and obviously I do want to disclose I have a wonderful family that pushes me and supports me, and, you know, they will bend over backwards to help me in any way, shape, or form, you know. I just, I love this. I love getting to sit down and talk with my friends, you know, and I love to let people in the community know, like, you're not alone. And if we can motivate you to take care of your mental health and talk about this kind of stuff openly, you know, there's healing in it. Essentially, there's healing in it, you know? So, kind of going into the next thing. This could be a tough one, but, you know, for me, I'll kind of answer it first to kind of give you some ideas. But what are some subtle signs you start noticing when you feel that you're really starting to struggle? Like, for me, obviously, I get really bad flare-ups, like, you know, because chronic illness and like depression and anxiety kind of go hand in hand. I think that's why it's so hard to diagnose initially. But I'll get like a really bad flare-up and I'll just be so extremely exhausted. I will be terrified to press the start streaming button. I just feel like everything is like against me kind of feeling. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah. But that's when I really start to know, like, okay, maybe I'm burnt out. You know, maybe I need to take a step back. You know, so what are some signs that you start noticing, like, okay, let's shift the focus to like more mental health direction. You know what I mean?
So I get this feeling that it kind of sounds like you are going to understand what I am about to say, because I don't ever really know how to explain it, but I get this feeling of, if I stream today, I feel like it's going to be a bad day.
Yeah.
And I can't explain it. There is no grounding. It's just a feeling.
Yeah.
And
a vibe.
Yep. And I'm like, nope, if I stream today, I just feel like it's going to be a bad day, and I will cancel, because I don't want to have that sitting in the back of my head all day.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot for me to burn out from streaming. It's not streaming itself that burns me out. It's everything that goes into it.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I love streaming, but like, fuck, some days I don't want to. I mean, it's gonna sound so stupid.
Nothing sounds stupid.
When Assassin's Creed came out, there were days where I was like, I don't want to stream. I just want to keep playing Assassin's Creed all day and not leave the couch. And if I stream, I'm gonna be missing out on Assassin's Creed. So I don't want to stream. And I would just cancel and stay on the couch.
Yeah.
All day. We're talking like 18-hour Assassin's Creed binges.
Yeah.
Because to me, that was what I wanted to be doing that day. And there's a reason that we feel bad when we miss a stream. Yeah. And it's because you love what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, honey. Yeah. She agrees. She agrees.
I love her.
That's Sayla. For anyone who is curious, that is Sayla. Yeah. She's howly today. She's very howly. She says she loves you, by the way.
Oh, I love her too.
You're like,
yeah,
what was
so
I saying anyway?
that's the biggest sign for me is like, and it's weird. I wake up with like the vibe and I'm like,
Yeah.
if I stream today, it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel kind of like a fortune teller, even though it's really just my anxiety.
Yeah.
But I feel that, and it's like it echoes through my whole body, and I'm very tense.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm very on edge before a stream, I typically cancel.
Yeah.
And I wasn't very good about that last year, because I wanted to keep pushing, because streaming was the only time that I really felt happy.
Yeah.
And that sounds really depressing, and trust me, it is. But I felt like I had to push myself to do it because it made me happy. But I realized that I was truly neglecting myself.
Yeah.
This is going to probably shake y'all's world. So just brace yourself. But in the last, up until like November of this past year, for like 2 years prior, I had not taken a single day that was just for me, disconnected from everything. 2 years.
Doubt it. I don't freaking doubt it.
I am always working.
Yeah.
I am always with Anthony or the dogs or streaming or working on back end stuff or playing games with other people, or I'm whatever it is that I'm doing. I'm always with other people, doing things for other people, giving my time and energy to other people. And I just realized in therapy, because my therapist was like, well, when was the last time you took like a you day? And I was like,
that's a good one.
I don't want to answer that question.
Yeah.
And I brought it up to Anthony, and he was like, yeah, I don't remember the last time that you did either. And I was like, okay, so new plan.
Yeah.
Going forward, I'm going to try my best to take days like that. But I have taken 3 because I feel so guilty leaving him with the dogs all day or whatever. And I'm trying to fight through that now.
Yeah.
Currently.
Yeah.
That's my biggest battle now.
He can do it.
I know he can.
But trust me, I understand. You know, I understand. You know, people don't realize that dogs are like children. They're like literal human beings. I'll just put that in there. But, you know, when I started kind of going downhill, I told myself that every single Sunday, I was at least going to do a face mask, because that was taking care of my skin and that was doing something for me. And I have made that just my ritual now, is every Sunday, like even if I'm going to stream, like before that, I'll take like a bath or something, or, you know, I'll do a face mask, or I'll read a couple of chapters of my favorite book. You know, like every Sunday I am doing something for me, because I cannot be the person that I want to be if I am not taking care of myself.
Yep.
How can my friends, how can my family, how can anyone rely on me when I'm not taking care of myself? I'm unreliable at that point. My cup is empty. You cannot give other people things from your cup if you don't have anything in your cup.
Yep.
So I told myself, every Sunday, you're going to do something for you. Freaking go to Goodwill and buy a new vase that you saw that looked cool and vintage or something. Like something. It doesn't matter. Go to Dunkin' Donuts and get yourself a donut. You know, whatever.
Yep.
Like do something for you, because you can't continuously take care of other people if you're not taking care of yourself.
Yep. That's what I have learned the hard way.
Yeah.
In 2020.
Yeah.
Especially with starting the team.
Yeah.
And everything on top of that. It's been non-stop.
Yeah.
For other people.
Yeah.
Which I love to do.
Yeah,
as anyone who knows me
absolutely.
Knows. But it's hard to justify putting myself first.
Yeah.
So that's what I am working on.
Yeah. Reprioritizing, you know, and like, I think it starts with just giving ourselves permission to do that. Like, it's okay that I need to move things down on the list and move myself up a couple of notches. And like, if anyone, you know, in the community, or even you, Jamie, if you're waiting for a sign, here's your sign. Like,
thank you.
You can do it. Like, you have permission, you know, or you don't need permission to do those things, you know? And I feel like that's a trauma response. I feel like is it okay if I do this? I feel like you and I kind of go through that a lot. I feel like we relate a lot on that level.
We do.
So kind of moving forward, what are some things? Okay, so what I like to do with MotivASHonal is, so we're going to talk about these hard things that we go through. Yeah. Then we're going to let people know that there's some things that I've achieved and that I've done despite these things, because even when you are struggling and even when you are having a good time, sometimes recognizing it, working on it, that's a huge step. That's a huge step in the right direction. And then continuing, to work through that, can get you in that right step. And I think I've told this story on stream before, but I graduated college and I moved back home because I lived on campus. I had a roommate and everything like that. And I moved back home, and that rocked my world. I got severely depressed. My anxiety severely kicked in. I think it was a change in environment shift kind of depression, anxiety thing. Yeah. And I missed my friends. I missed the fact that college seemed so easy and that I was going to have to get a big girl job and like pay bills and like be an adult. Like my world came crashing in, and I got severely depressed. And I just told myself, every day when you wake up, I want you to name something. This is me talking to myself. I want you to name something that you are grateful for. And for a very, very, very long time, Jamie, the only thing that I could say was, I'm grateful that I woke up today. But eventually, that list got longer and longer and longer. And I eventually felt myself, really, really fighting back. And so that is something that I consider an achievement. Despite what I was going through, I rose up and I said, I'm going to fight this, and this is how we're going to do it, Yep. So what are some things that you've achieved despite, some of your mental health struggles?
Oh boy. Last year was a big year for me.
Oh yeah.
In a very good way, despite the hate raids, despite anxiety, depression, and all of that. There is a list of things that I'm extremely grateful for and proud of. I got Twitch partner in June. Yeah. I paid off $26,000 worth of debt on June 30th.
My God.
We adopted Bear.
Yeah, sweet baby.
I started a Twitch team that focuses on charity. We have raised over $61,000 as a team in 9 days of fundraising total. Yeah. And in May, we raised over $20,000 for St. Jude as a community. There is a lot to be proud of. Yeah, and absolutely. I am able to acknowledge those things. The thing that I struggle with is giving myself credit for them. Yeah. I can acknowledge that they are incredible, but you will have to beat me with a shovel to get me to say that I am why. Yeah. Because in my mind, so here's a perfect example. We achieved Twitch partner and Discord partner in 2020. Mm-hmm. It was easier for me to be grateful for Discord partner than Twitch partner. The reason why is because with Discord partnerships, it partners your community, your whole server. Gotcha. Not just you. Yeah. So you don't have the badge. You don't have these things that recognize you as the success beacon. And with Twitch partner, your community gets you there. Your community does the same thing to bring traction as you do when you get Discord partner, but you are the one who gets the recognition. Yeah. And that's where I struggled a lot. And I had imposter syndrome so bad. My mind works, and this is something I'm working on in therapy before anybody yells at me. My mind works on a waiting for the other shoe to drop. Yeah. Mindset. Yeah. So my mind does not put good and bad things on different levels. They are the same. They're a teeter-totter. So when what goes up must come down. Yeah. So whenever anything good happens, and something bad follows, my mind immediately says, it's because you didn't deserve this. It's because you don't deserve the happiness. You don't deserve success. So imagine my brain when I get partnered on June 2nd and 2 days later, I am hate rated.
Yeah.
For a month and a half. I didn't even get to celebrate my partnership. It was like we had a day to enjoy it, and then we had to go into sub-only mode for 3 weeks. We couldn't even enjoy partnership for more than 2 days before I am putting walls up around our community. I am filing multiple police reports. I am afraid to leave my house. I'm having panic attacks, nightmares. It was like
your world came crashing in.
It did, and it fell in line with my way of thinking. Yeah. And I decided I didn't deserve good things. So anytime I would talk about, and I said it in Discord so many times, anyone in our community who's in here will remember, I kept saying, like, once we got past the hate raids and we were able to open everything up again and feel safe, I said, okay, this next stream, we're going to celebrate partnership. And then it would get there and I would stream for 2 hours and need to end because I was too anxious to continue. And then I stopped and I broke down to my community in August. And I was like, I can't celebrate partnership because I don't think that I deserve it. I think that the hate raids were trying to tell me that this success doesn't belong to me and that I don't deserve to be happy. And I believe that to be true. And I said these things that are just so hard to say out loud. Yeah. But I couldn't keep it in anymore and keep pretending that I was excited, because at that point, I was no longer excited about partnership. Yeah. It was completely ruined for me. Yeah. By people who don't even know me, who chose me because I'm an advocate for mental health. That's why I got chosen for that, because I was discussing mental health in my stream and they targeted me.
Ridiculous.
So my community threw me a partner party and they planned everything. They did all of it. I just had to show up to stream. And it was the most incredible thing I've ever experienced from a community. I didn't have to plan it. They did it for me. They did everything. Everything. Yeah. And that was such a huge moment. That was one of those moments that when I look back on my streaming career, that's how I know I did it right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I was literally just about to say that. God, that made me like so emotional. Because I don't know. I don't like share myself a lot with like people that I care about. I think because I'm scared and because of traumatic experiences and abusive relationships and friendships. But I need you to know right now that that is a reflection of you. That is because of you. Is because you decided that this was the kind of community that you wanted to have, that they came together and they threw you a partner party. That is because of you. Those people decided to do that because of you, because of who you are as a person, you know? And it just like, it makes me cry because like, I can only imagine what that would feel like, you know, like obviously getting hate rated and stuff like that's not fair, you know, but to know that a community has your back. And I told you that when I got accepted into Team SideQuest, you know, like Team SideQuest is also an extension of you, you know, and I want you as your friend to recognize that these places are the way that they are because of you. They are extensions of you. Your community is an extension of you. SideQuest is an extension of you. You know, you need to give yourself more credit. And I also talked about this with a friend today, like the whole hate raid thing, like you can't blame yourself for the way other people feel about you. And I know that that's a trauma response. I know that it is. Yep. And we could talk about that in private later. But, you know, everything that happens to you is not because of you. You know, it's severing that point of this isn't happening because it's my fault. It's just happening because there's stupid, mean people out there, you know? And I think I think that that is a really important thing. But I wanted to take a second and tell you, instead of in a Discord message, like, hey, these places and these safe zones and all of these things that you've come up with is because of you. These are extensions of you. So you need to be more proud of yourself, you know? And so community that, you know, that's in here, you know, thank you so much for that, obviously, and like freaking make me cry. But, you know, like that within itself is an achievement. You know what I mean? Nothing else really needs to be said, is the fact that you like I said, when I was severely depressed and I told myself, even if it's just saying I woke up today, like that's what I'm grateful for, like that's an achievement, you know, within itself. You're here, that's an achievement. The end.
And I think along those lines, there are so many people who compare and contrast success, and I just want everyone to know so badly that there is no minimum on success.
Yeah.
Holy shit, if you got out of bed today, that is a huge success. It doesn't matter. And I will never forget, somebody came into stream after I got partnered and we were talking about it. It was the day after I got partnered. I streamed because it was Blackout Tuesday in June, the day that I got partnered. So it didn't feel right to post or talk about it or whatever.
Yes.
So the next day we went live and somebody came in and we were talking about things that we were proud of, because I wanted to know what other people were proud of, because that was something I was proud of, and I wanted to talk with everyone else about it.
Yeah.
And someone came in and said, I'm proud of myself for, oh God, it was something like getting out of bed or showering, I think. I'm proud of myself for getting up and showering today. But that's not really much compared to your news. And I wish I could just like shake everyone into realizing that what isn't a huge achievement, what is a huge achievement to you is a huge achievement in general, because there's no guidelines for what success is. If you just compare it to everybody else, you're never going to feel successful in your whole life.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention, when you say things like that, it impacts the people around you too. It impacts you and it impacts other people, because there are folks like me who are... It is so hard to be an empath and to be a streamer.
Jesus Christ, I know.
Because in that moment, I immediately felt awful for celebrating my accomplishment, because to me, it made it sound as though I made that person feel bad by sharing this about me.
Yeah.
Please never, ever, ever feel like your success is diminished by somebody else's.
Yeah. It's all
because
success.
At some point or another, that person who's achieved this thing was also very proud of the thing you're proud of, and probably will be again in the future.
Absolutely.
You don't stop being proud of the successes that you get just because you had this success right now.
Yeah.
I'm still proud that I get up and out of bed every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Same. I think that's like one of the things I'm most proud of, is like, you know, that I wake up and I decide like, I'm gonna freaking do this, you know, because I mean, there are, and I can't express this enough, and this is something that we'll talk about on MotivASHonal again, but like, seriously, having a chronic illness has been one of the hardest things I have ever had to deal with in my entire freaking life. And it's gonna make me emotional, but I'm just so proud of myself for waking up and like literally like getting out of bed, because there are some days that I can't do that because I'm in so much pain, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's a great point that you make there, you know, is just like, just because someone else may be achieving this doesn't mean that you won't ever get there, first of all. Second of all, doesn't make your achievement any less. There's no statistical research book out there that's like, oh, this success is way better than this one, you know? No, that there's nothing out there like that, you know?
Absolutely.
So I think to kind of round this out, I'm gonna combine these kind of last two. So what are some of your favorite methods for dealing with stress? And then if someone is kind of going through a tough time, what would your message be to them?
My method when I'm dealing with stress is typically If I'm very stressed out, I don't like to be touched. I don't want dogs to touch me.
Yeah.
I don't want Anthony to touch me. I want to be alone. I want to have space, which is something I have to get better at stating and taking.
Yeah.
Because I'm not good at that.
Yeah. You have to put that boundary down. You have to let people know. Yeah.
I like to eat snacks. I like to watch a show that I've already seen. So that I don't have to focus on the story that's happening. Yes, it was The Office until
it's gone from Netflix. God, yeah.
So I'll watch like Gilmore Girls or something, something that like I because when I'm really anxious, I watch shows that I have already watched because I don't have to worry about what's going to happen. I already know, and it's like a comfort thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't like change, and I know that will never change. So if I just watch that, I know exactly what's going to happen, and I can just watch it and enjoy it because it's something that I enjoy.
Mindless. It's mindless. Yep. Yeah. Effortless.
I need to get better at taking that time for myself, and that would be my suggestion.
If you need an accountability partner,
yeah,
I'm here.
Thank you. I'm going to take advantage of that. We'll message you at 3 a.m. Can I please be alone?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that the biggest thing I can suggest is taking time for you. And whatever that means, it's different for everyone. For me, I want to be completely away from people. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to
And that's totally fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. But but people do need to understand that that's a boundary. And like with being a streamer, like, and like, that's good for me to know as your friend too, because like there are just some days where you cannot allocate any energy to other people right now. Like you need it for yourself, you know? And so that's good that everyone knows that, because I feel like as a streamer, you know, you feel like you constantly need to be checking your DMs. You constantly feel like if I don't at least tweet once today and allow people in at least for a little while, like I'm not doing, you know, like, but I feel like it's important that people know that we do have boundaries, you know, like one of my boundaries is I don't share my private life because it's my private life and this is my streaming life. Like they, you know, like you're okay with just knowing me. You don't have to know all of my friends' names. You don't have to know my aunt's name and what we did yesterday, you know, when we went out to eat or some shit, you know, like that's just a personal preference, you know, but it is a boundary. And I feel like it's so important for communities to know that about you, because now, especially now that I know, like, okay, when Jamie is stressed, she doesn't want to talk to anybody. And I'm not going to take personal offense to that.
And that's where it got really hard with some old friends of mine. It was like, I couldn't.
Yeah.
If I'm not talking, then I'm mad at them, and sometimes I just don't want to. I can't have a conversation. I can't. Sometimes there are days where I literally can't do it. I can't. I'm like, I want to. It's not like I don't want to, but fuck me, dude. I can't.
I'm
just
tired.
Sit there.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't even. Like, I want to ask how you are, but then you're gonna ask me, and then
I'm tired and I don't want to.
I'm just not going to. So I'll just answer this another day.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. And I feel like our generation is the generation of like constant affirmation, right? Constant, you know, confirmation that
constant and immediate.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes, constant and immediate. And so I'm working on that myself as well. Like just because it's a trauma response, I just always think everyone's mad at me for everything. But like that's not real. That's not a real thing, you know? So that's something that I'm working on too.
This is one that I always have, and I don't know if you feel the same way. If somebody comments on my tweet and doesn't like the tweet, I'm like, oh my God, did they just comment on it? They don't actually like it. Are they mad at me? Was this a bad tweet? Did I fuck up?
Oh yeah.
And it's social media has literally
is the worst.
My brain applesauce. So
it's the worst.
I'm trying to get better at that too. That's like I'm trying not to let it bother me and just do my thing.
Yeah, you can't because then you've just expended some energy that you could really use for yourself later on. You know what I mean? Like you have to, it's almost like you have to pick your battles essentially, you know?
Yeah, I'm not good at that. So.
Yeah. Well, challenge. I challenge you to pick your battles. You know what I mean? So that kind of goes in to the next thing. And someone made a very good point in chat that communicating your boundaries is key. Absolutely, 100%.
If I am asked what the biggest piece of streaming advice that I could give to somebody is, it is set your boundaries immediately. Do not waver from them. Set your boundaries and make sure everyone around you knows what they are, because I did not do that until year 3. And
Same.
I promise you, it is not worth it.
Nope.
In my defense, I didn't know what my boundaries were.
Yeah.
And I had to learn them,
yeah.
which I understand happens to a lot of people. But set
the tone.
Boundary.
Set
Even
the
if it's
tone
just
early.
One boundary.
Yes.
Just set one.
Yeah.
Set it and have it there.
Yep.
Like one of the easiest ones to set is office hours.
Yes.
Just have time where you're streaming, time where you're dealing with business related things.
Yeah.
And then other times you don't. You leave it alone. You stop.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've implemented too.
Oh, 100%. On my off days, it's my off day. I'm not doing diddly squat. You're going to do what you want to do on your off days, because that's why you took an off day. You know, of course, like, you know, if it's something that I need to do and I unfortunately procrastinated and put it off, I'm going to do it. But like on my off days, I'm going to take an off day. No exceptions, you know? But I always say that same piece of streaming advice, that my private life thing has been here since the beginning. It's not changing, you know? And I always tell people, because like people ask why, you know? And I'm like, my private life and my family and my friends, they're my escape from this world. They didn't ask to be a part of this world. So I'm not gonna let them intertwine. If I give all of this, my everything, I will have nothing left for me. My family, my friends, the people that I love, they're my escape from this world. I need them. And if I give them to you, I don't have anything to escape to. I want to have things that I can escape to, you know? So I set that boundary super early, because it's just a preference. The internet's a freaking scary world. The internet's scary anyways. Literally, they get one piece of information, they know your whole family. That's fucking terrifying. So, you know, anyways, that number one piece of advice that I always say too is set the tone early. Set those boundaries immediately as soon as you start streaming, so people know not to fuck with those boundaries, you know? So for the last bit, you know, I want to end on kind of like a higher note. If someone was going through a hard time right now, like it could be with mental health, it could be with stress or streaming or just like feeling kind of drained or whatever you want to relate it to. If they're going through something, like what would your advice be to them, or what would be, you know, something that you've heard from your therapist or something that you've heard from a family member, you know, that really struck a chord with you?
I don't really have advice. All I want to say is that you're valid.
Absolutely.
I think that we all need to know that in order to take any steps and follow advice, you need to know that you're valid in everything that you think, everything that you feel. And I think that there are a lot of people who think that they feel or react wrong, or they think that they're incorrect in how they respond to something. But you're not. Every response, every reaction is valid. And there is a difference between, you know, whether or not something is valid or whether or not something is appropriate.
Yes, I was just about to say that.
But you're valid nonetheless.
Yeah.
Everything you're feeling, every ounce of depression, every moment of anxiety, every pit, every sadness, every anger, every moment of happiness, every moment of glee, every feeling of success, every moment that you're proud, every moment that you're nervous, it's all valid. And the only way that you are going to be able to move past that is to accept that for yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's what I've been working on. So
yeah, sometimes, all the time, the first step is just acceptance and who you are and the struggles that you're facing, you know, and just acknowledging them. Be like, hey, yeah, I see you, little pit. I know I'm here. And guess what? I'm gonna, you know, day by day, I'm gonna conquer this. You know, sometimes all it takes is just that acknowledgement, you know?
Yep.
And
don't let it win.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that that's something that I really have tried to instill in myself, is like, you can't allow these things to win because you're so much better than that. You know, like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, I'm like my own little hype man sometimes. Like, no, you can't do this. You know, like, that's why, like, having this chronic illness has been one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with, because there are days where I do have to just sit and be. And I'm a workaholic. I constantly like to have my hands in projects and doing things and constantly emailing people, planning projects, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But when my body says, no, not today, I'm like, okay, I really need to, you know.
But I think a lot of people see that as a loss.
Yeah, no.
It's not, though.
No. That's what I'm working on.
And you're,
Exactly. I'm giving myself grace. I'm giving myself peace to rest.
Yep.
You know, that's all it is. You're not a failure because you had to stop work early today, Ash,
Nope.
Jamie. You're not a failure because you had to take today off because your body's hurting. You know what I mean? Like, it's not...
You do.
Has nothing to do with that, you know? So I just wanted to see what your last piece of advice was to kind of round things out. But I started doing something new last season, kind of towards the end. And I was going to ask you, obviously you don't have to answer if you don't want to, or you don't have to ask me anything if you don't want to, but is there a question that you would like to ask me? Because I've sat here and asked you a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
It's only fair that you would get to ask me one.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out
no
how to word
pressure.
this.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So, what inspired you to implement MotivASHonal into your content?
Oh man. You know, I was streaming for I think like maybe a year. I had just started streaming, and we had kind of had like an open conversation. I was going through a lot at the time. I had just been fired from my first job ever, been fired for the first time ever. And I opened up about it and just let my chat know, like, this is going to be it for me for now until I can find another job, you know. And I was like terrified, you know, just like absolutely terrified. Yeah. And someone messaged me and they told me that my stream and that conversation kept them from taking their life. And
wow.
Yeah, that hit me really hard, you know, and it still does. And I just saw streaming in such a different light then, and I said, this is an opportunity for me to sit down with people who influence me in ways that I can't even explain, and who I love and who I care about, and spread more of that. The world needs more of that. The world needs more motivation to share about their mental health, to share about the hardships, to even share about the fun stuff and the hard stuff, you know, just like sharing and being kind and being open. The world needs more of that. And I saw a great opportunity to reach a bunch of people at the same time, all at once, and share a message. And streaming just became this bigger picture for me. And I was like, I really want to motivate people so bad to just like live their best life. And MotivASHonal came about, and I went freaking head first. I was like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I put all of my fears aside, and I said, I'm doing this because if I can change someone's life just by having a conversation about losing my job, what can I do when I sit down with other people and we get to share stories about life? Like, how big of an impact, you know, can we make? And I don't know, I believe I was put on this earth to inspire people and spread kindness and spread love and raise money for charity and hopefully start my own charity one day. I believe that's why I was put on this earth. And like I said, I went head first. MotivASHonal became a thing that I wanted to do, and I said, nope, I'm doing this. I'm not stopping. We're doing it. And that's why I do it and where it came from.
I love that. And I agree. That is why you're here.
No, I appreciate that so much. I really do. This is my baby. I love kind of getting to uncover just a safe layer so that people can understand that we're human back here behind this camera. We're really nothing else. Yeah, like we stream and we make content, but like we're still human. We still struggle. We still have bullshit that we have to deal with, you know? We're not any different.
A lot of people don't realize anyone can do that.
Yeah.
You're a human being.
Yeah.
It's not a robot.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do it. Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
It's not, and that's not to say that it's not special that someone does, but just look, we're all the same back here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm squishy as fuck.
Yeah.
That's
seriously. I'm a baby.
Yep.
I'm Bab. Okay. No, but seriously, thank you so much for answering those questions, and thanks for asking me a question too.
Yeah.
We're gonna take some questions from chat. If anyone has anything, or I'm gonna kind of scroll back up and see if anyone made any comments that I would like to say. But real quick, I'm gonna end the recording right here.